Hi, my name is Michaela, or Mac for short. My channel's name is Our Generation. Originally, I was going to be doing a video saga of my journey to get bypass surgery, and I recently found out it would rather be a sleeve. So it's kind of turned into an autoimmune saga. I've been joking that my body is playing autoimmune bingo. So while I'm talking to you, I'm going to be making my lunches. I've had to change my diet quite a bit. um, Kind of started in 2021. So, a little bit of a story. My parents passed away in 2021. They essentially both had cancer. My mom was able to battle hers for about 6 months. She survived it, got COVID, passed away from complications to that. And then my dad didn't even know he had cancer until the week he passed. So pretty much after that, I went on a health journey. I lost 60 pounds in 7 months. I did a lot of time and effort on that because I knew that I needed to be able to know what my body was supposed to feel like at its peak. It felt amazing. One day I wake up and I sound like a person that's been smoking for like 60 years. You know, that really hoarse. I thought I had strep because I've had strep quite a bit. It's always really aggressive. I usually don't know I have it until I can't talk. So I go into the urgent care, and the nurse practitioner there notices that I have a goiter. So you can't really see it a lot now because I've gained a lot of weight since then. Since then I've gained 100 pounds, and that was uh, December of 2021. And pretty much our conversation was like, you don't have strep. Like I got tested for it. However, because of the size of your goiter, I can't let you leave until I know that you have an appointment with your primary. And my primary at the time, it would have taken 3 months to get an appointment. I've already tried getting appointments with the lady. She's no longer my doctor. She stopped practicing a couple years ago. Around the same time that I left. And then I essentially get the clinic's doctor as my primary care. She did a couple tests. I told her that there was Hashimoto's in my family. It's my aunt. Turns out there's also Graves. So it's Hashimoto's, or autoimmune thyroiditis, is an autoimmune disease that attacks your thyroid. It believes it's a foreign substance. A foreign entity in your body, and it tries to kill it. So it'll push you into hypo. So hypothyroidism. I am not a doctor. I am not a trained professional. I am just telling you what I have found. But hypothyroidism means your thyroid is not producing enough hormones for your body, and it can cause a slew of problems. So typically, if you're chronically in hypo, you be put on medication by your doctor, all found through blood tests. So I have cysts on my thyroid. I got diagnosed with Hashimoto's thyroiditis in January of 2022. I started levothyroxine. I was on that for the next year and a half or so. I think I put too much rice in that one. So my then primary stops doing primary care and goes to emergency care, which is totally fine. I find another doctor who's in another town. I start going to him. My labs are all over the place. He's moving my medication up and down and up and down. And honestly, I gotta warn you guys, I've never experienced anything like it, and I haven't had it since I've been off the levothyroxine. I could have just had a bad reaction to it. My body does that. It's very temperamental. Um, Whenever I started levothyroxine, I had this insatiable hunger. So I can't explain it in a way that you are going to genuinely experience it. So to kind of just break it down, I couldn't stop eating. And it wasn't that I was like, oh, I just want to eat everything. I love food. I do love food. Not like that. So pretty much what would happen is I would wake up and I would be completely ravenous. Like it didn't matter what I ate. Nothing made me feel like I had just eaten. I could, like, it got to the point where in July was my breaking point because I tried to slow it down and it was like all I was thinking about 24 hours a day was food. Like I wouldn't be able to sleep because all I wanted to do was come into the kitchen and eat. So it was understandable that I gained 100 pounds. I get it. I do. However, my doctor didn't believe me. He just assumed it was my fault that I just am choosing to eat this atrocious amount of food. I'm not even kidding. I had to have been eating like 5,000 calories a day, easy, easy. It's understandable that I gained that much weight in that amount of time because from January of 2022 to August of 2020, or sorry, yeah, 2022, I gained 80 pounds. That's understandable with how much food I was eating. Okay. I couldn't stop. I would be eating and I would be like throwing up the food I was eating and I couldn't stop. Like it was like I hadn't eaten in like 3 days. You know that like deep pit hunger you get and like your stomach's rumbling and like all you do is you look at food and you can't stop yourself from grabbing it. That's what was happening. So I gained all that weight back. Um, and eventually my hormone levels start going crazy. So it's going from hypo to hyper. And he keeps changing my medication. I'm going from levothyroxine to the one that it blocks. It stops you from being in hyper. It pulls your thyroid back down, your thyroid levels. I was on that one, and when that started happening, I stopped. Like the out of control part stopped. I still had it, but I could then be like, I'm fine. I don't need food, and I wouldn't be like, I have to. So that stops, and then I go from being on levothyroxine to be on nothing for the next year up until August of 2023. So in August of 2023, I'm finally like, I really need to see an endocrinologist. Like I had to push for that. And mostly because he started saying that I didn't have an autoimmune at all. And I'm like, you've been testing my blood this whole time and you keep telling me I have Hashimoto's. And now you're saying I don't have anything. So I got into seeing an endocrinologist around the same time because my weight was hitting over 300. I decided to get bariatric surgery because I heard that being a lower weight, I research a lot of stuff, but being a lower weight helps your your body handle that. Like things just work a little bit better. So I was trying to do the thing that would make it so I could function. Because by this point, I couldn't function. I couldn't hold conversations. I was falling asleep at the wheel. If I had to drive a half hour, I had to stop and take a nap because I couldn't stay awake. I'd either be sleeping I work a 9 to 5 job Monday through Friday. On the weekends, I'd be asleep the whole weekend. And that's not normal for me. I wouldn't be able to get up and do stuff. Speaking of, I'm supposed to take my ADD medication. Um, so I couldn't do it. I couldn't do anything. Like, I was barely conscious for most things. I get off of work and I fall asleep. I couldn't do anything. And my doctor kept saying that it couldn't be that bad. So I'm like, okay, well, then I guess my weight is my problem and my anxiety is my problem. Not even close. Not even close. So pretty much the last 6 months or so, since August of 2023 until now, it's February of 2024, I've been finding out some stuff about myself. So it all started because I wanted like weight loss surgery. They have to test you for a whole bunch of things to make sure it's safe enough for you to have surgery, which is great. I'm fantastic with that. I would rather know that I'm going to be okay. Yes. So I'm going to my endocrinologist. My first blood test comes back. He's like, you do have autoimmune thyroiditis. You also have Graves' disease. So I'm like, okay, that's different. So Graves' disease is also a thyroid autoimmune. So it is still attacking your thyroid. So your body's attacking your thyroid, but instead of slowing it down, it speeds it up. So I've been sitting in hypo for the last 6 months. It's not been so extreme that I have to be on medication. I am going to be starting medication soon after my appointment with my endo in a couple days. Uh, and I've been, I guess the autoimmune thyroiditis is winning. I'm not entirely sure. I have to get blood tests done every 2 to 3 months right now until it's level. Um, so while this is going on, I'm getting all these tests done for the bariatric surgery. And at the same time, I've heard that bariatric surgery is really hard on your emotional and mental well-being. And since I went through a hugely traumatic thing when my parents passed, I decided I was going to go into therapy. So I reached out to a psychologist and a therapist and a psychiatrist, the ones that give you drugs, or can prescribe you drugs. And the other one is the one that you talk to. Still not 100% sure which one is which. But I see her monthly because I met with her and she immediately was like, yeah, you have ADD. And then depression, anxiety, all of that, understandably. I take on entirely too much, more than I probably should. One of the triggers for both of those is stress and overwork. So we're talking. She's like, you really need to see a therapist. You need to talk through this stuff. I'm like, okay, that's understandable. Let's do this. Therapy is good. I have yet to actually see my therapist. She ended up moving away, so I'm back on the wait list. But I met with the psychologist, Dr. Cooper, a couple times, and it wasn't until the third time that I met her that she put me on ADD meds because she was like confident because I hit all the key points. And this is my second month on ADD med, which, by the way, had no idea, absolutely no idea how much was going to change my life. I can focus on doing things now. It's amazing. But back to the task at hand. I was getting all these blood tests done and body tests. So like I got a whole bunch of blood tests done. They came back abnormal. So a lot of my levels are all over the place. I have really highs and I have really lows and I have very few in between. So I've actually been looking back to my blood tests over the last, since 2021, because I've been getting blood tests for that long. And, which leads me to the next autoimmune, which is lupus. That is what I'm getting tested for right now because I got a blood test done and my clotting wasn't super fast. It wasn't super slow. It was just noticeably slow. So I'm getting referred over to a hematologist right now, which thank you, Dr. Cooper, for warning me that it's at a cancer center, because no one else did. But essentially, I have sleep apnea. It's a mild case. It's not quite needing any like a CPAP machine, but they also think I have lupus. So if you combine all four of those together, leads to extreme exhaustion, which I've been telling my doctor for like 2 years that I could barely stay awake. So in those 2 years, I have researched Hashimoto's thyroiditis mostly, and then Graves, because a close friend of mine has Graves, and she was scared when she first was diagnosed, or before she was diagnosed. She was really scared because everything was going haywire. She was like fainting at work. It was terrifying. Um, which leads me to this channel. So I'm gonna be doing it every now and then. I can't say I'm super consistent because of the ADD thing. I'll forget things, so it might be a couple months in between. Um, but essentially, I handle these very well. I thought I didn't until I talked to people about it, and they didn't think the diseases were that big of a deal because of how I talked about it. So after that big old breakdown of my story of finding out that I have two autoimmunes and getting a third confirmed along with a blood disorder, um, it's okay. You can do this. You have to figure out what works for your body. And part of that, like for my instance, was food. Because after working with a nutritionist since 2023 in August, it's 2024 now. Get off the couch, Gypsy! Come here. Gypsy? Sorry. Another time. I researched and researched and researched about what I could do on a daily basis to help my thyroid not freak out. I want to try and make it stronger. So part of making it stronger is not tearing it down. So the things that I have found after exploring with food is that processed stuff, gotta go. It takes a long time to do that. It's been 2 years running for me. And that's okay. It can take time. But after a while, you will begin to notice that you could feel when something is not good for your body. For example, if you look at a picture from me 2 years ago, you look at my face, it was not this white. So my face is usually a bright red, like bright red. Like it probably on par with my hair right now, maybe a little lighter. Okay. That is my body's way of telling me that it doesn't like the food it's eating. Okay. I'm causing my body to have pain, and it's making everything swollen. So I have been looking into uh, what causes inflammation, which there's a lot of things that can cause inflammation. And that has led me down a very large rabbit hole, which brings me here. I really want to help someone else because I am okay with what I have. I can manage it as best I can. I'm learning to deal with it. It's a different experience. I want to help whoever I can. And if that means someone 10 years from now finds this video, I'm okay with that because hopefully that one person gets help. So, which leads me to what I was doing for my lunches. Excuse the packaging. I have ADD and I really struggle with gross things. So I have the prepackaged things. I got it from uh, it's a restaurant retailer kind of thing. It's changes names a lot, so I'm not entirely sure what to call it. But essentially, I bought this little package of it. I pre-portion out my stuff. I cook my own food for the most part. I'm like 85 to 90% there. Uh, Being able to make my own food has helped significantly because if I go to fast food, I am in so much pain, usually that day, like later that day or the next morning. And that can be a variety of things. My main thing that I have noticed on my body is that when I eat something I probably shouldn't have, my hands get swollen. Like, I mean, they're already pretty chunky, but it gets to the point where if I'm curling my hands, it's hard to shut my hands because my fingers are so swollen and they hurt. The joints in my body hurt. Like if I'm really done something bad like gluten, absolutely not. I'm done with gluten. Okay, I am done with gluten. Not because like I can't have it. I do still occasionally have it, just not the way I did because it's in everything. Um, and I don't know, it's so hard to explain. Like it gets hard for me to breathe because my throat gets really swollen, and it is hard for me to sleep because my body hurts and like my muscles hurt and like my legs get all tender. Like if you touch them wrong, they're really really sensitive. It's hard to it's hard to really understand how bad it gets. It can get really bad. I've gotten it where I'm trying to walk through the house and my feet are on fire. Like it feels like I'm walking on hot coals, and that I don't have any softness on the bottom of my feet. It's just my bones touching the ground. That's what it feels like. And it's usually after I've eaten something I probably shouldn't have eaten. So, one thing I suggest is doing an AIP diet, which is an anti-inflammatory protocol. It is depressing, just so you know. However, incredibly informative and long term, totally beneficial. Okay. So look it up. It's called AIP. It's essentially just certain vegetables and certain meats. It is very sad. It is, and you have to do it for a long time. And I did it for a couple months, and honestly, it was rough and it was hard to stick to it. But I have found that some of the things that I was eating, I shouldn't have been eating. And now, when I eat something that has something like that in it, I usually know within the hour now because I could feel it in my body, which your sensations will be different than my sensations. But if I'm eating something, this is a recent discovery, it's the coolest thing ever. When I'm eating something that it has like a low substance because I've been eating like high um, value foods that's a lot of vitamins, a lot of minerals, and stuff like that. I've been eating a lot of that the last like 6 months, especially. I've gotten really good. I can taste when the food's doing nothing for me. It tastes almost hollow. So if I'm eating like meat from McDonald's, the weirdest thing ever, I'll be eating it and it tastes like meat, but then it's like there's nothing behind it. Like it's when I'm eating like ground beef at home and I'll eat the same thing, it tastes like it's like a fullness issue. It's so cool. So it's I'll eat the meat. McDonald's is just a throwaway. It's just one of the things I've noticed. But it could be like somewhere else. It could be like at a restaurant. If they're using certain types of food, I can taste the difference. It's the weirdest thing. It's like a sensation thing. And now because of that, like I'm not someone that likes to like not eat my food. Like I was raised like you have to clean off your plate, working on that. It's okay to not clean off your plate. It's okay to put it in for leftovers. But it is the strangest thing. Like I will take a bite of it and I'll get that sensation and I now just don't want to eat it because I know that it's just a whole bunch of empty calories. I can feel that they're empty and I end up going for like strawberries now. Never thought that would happen, but I love strawberries. Let me some strawberries, my grapes. I love sweet stuff. Strawberry and grapes are my go-to. And now I'm doing like pureed soups. This is carrot soup. I've never done carrot soup because I don't like cooked carrots. And yet this soup tastes delicious. So this is a very long video. They will not be this long in the future. I appreciate you sitting with me, but I'm essentially just going to break down what I am doing. I'm going to start with foods and go from there. So if you do have autoimmune thyroiditis or Graves' disease, and possibly lupus, I'll figure that out in a bit. Hopefully this will bring a lot of the fear away and help you on your journey to be healthier. My name is Mac. You can just call me Mac. That's totally fine. My channel is called Our Generation, and it's for bodies that are playing autoimmune bingo. Have a wonderful day.